Hello, my name is Leisha Connor and this is my portfolio submission for Design for Film in IADT. My inspiration for this portfolio sparked from a project I did in the past. My theme was time and my main object was an antique clock and a series of deteriorating roses. It was almost as if I transported back in time when an idea came to me. I wondered, what movie uses both roses and time to tell a beautiful story about love? My favourite childhood movie, Beauty and the Beast. As you may know, Beauty and the Beast uses the rose as a symbol of time. I thought this connection to my project was very exciting. I noticed one thing that separated the rose from all the other characters. It didn't have a human form. For my portfolio, I wanted to see what the rose would look like if it transformed into a human. First of all, I started out by doing some sketches of scenes from the movie. Here I depicted the roses from 4 different scenes, and on the next page there is a painting of the enchanted rose. Beside that, I did a plan of model making, and in my presentation I have the full sculpture. Next, I move on to the most exciting part of my project, the costume design. What would the enchanted rose look like as a human? I gathered my inspiration pictures and I started designing right away. I accidentally printed it in black and white, but I used a newspaper concept instead. I really liked the designs here. I moved on and I did some quick early sketches, and the ones in pencils are hard to see, but I redo them later on. The next one was inspired by a Japanese yukata, and I had a Japanese pattern book, so I traced the patterns down. The next one is inspired by the painting I did at the start. You can see that I copied the colour scheme directly and the white outline as well. On the next page I did a red rose instead of pink, and I really liked the shape of it. I think it's very similar to the live action rose as it's red. On the next page I did more sketches, and I was focusing more on the petals and how they are depicted. I did artist research on Kathleen Ryan and how she expresses rotten fruit. I was very inspired by her use of beads, and I did my own version. I made some petals covered in beads, and I'm placing them here onto the dress. I really liked how I used different colour and used different beads to mimic Kathleen. She apparently uses more precious stones for the rotten parts, so I used some of the stones that I consider precious for that. Also, I was inspired by Christian Dior for the dress. Next, I move on to Oscar de la Renta. Here I resketched one of my earlier designs, and I was inspired by his glass dress, and I used silicone to kind of mimic the glass inspired look. Although this one turned out okay, the next one was kind of a fail because the pink kind of overwhelmed the silicone and it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted. So I tried again on the next page, but the ratio of the paint was smaller, so it turned out exactly how I wanted to. If you look closely, I did little swirls of paint to kind of mimic the layers of the rose, and I really liked it. Here on the next page I took a different route and I went for a more classier look with cutouts, and you can see the gold lining. Here is one of De La Renta's famous designs, and I really liked it, so I did my own version. Here is the plastic that I cut it out from, and I just wanted to show it because it was really hard to cut. And here is one of the designs that was inspired by Oscar de la Renta. It kind of reminded me of Harry Clarke's stained glass, so I attached a picture above. Once again, I was inspired greatly by Oscar de la Renta, and I did a sample of one of his designs on the top left corner. I used an iridescent plastic bag for the shiny multicoloured bits, and for the dress I used acrylic paint of multicolours inspired by Harry Clarke's stained glass. I really liked how different artists inspired me for this final design, and I really liked how it turned out. Which dress do you think best expresses the enchanted rose? Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you consider my portfolio. Thank you!